cut itself off. So tinkering around with the truck today, and about a month ago my Viair air compressor, something happened to it, and I think I'm not going to speculate. We're about to tear it down and find out what happened to it. This stuff has been on the truck for 2 years, I think, and I have no complaints. It has done an excellent job because it's only got a 2.5 gallon air tank on it, and that compressor runs its butt off trying to keep up and trying to air up tires that I shouldn't probably be airing up, trying to run blowers, you know, little air blowers and stuff, and it's constantly running. It's on the ignition, so as soon as I turn the ignition on in the morning, that compressor's on the whole time. I think I got a leaky airbag. They've been on here for probably closer to 4 years. They've been on here forever, since I bought the truck. And today we're going to tear into this compressor and see what happened, and I'll show you how I'm going to fix it. So here's the air compressor. You can tell from the front, this thing has not had an easy life. It's hung upside down by the frame rail on my truck for every bit of 2 years. This is a 480C. It's the one that comes with the Viair Ultra Duty Air System. There's a part number 20001, and there's your specs on it. Max pressure 200 psi, and I can vouch for it does hit that. There's my pressure gauge right over there in the corner. Anyhow, I wiped the cylinder, the motor part, down, and all this out here on the end is going to come off. I probably should have wiped the rest of it down, but I didn't. I'll show you how we're planning on fixing it today. Is horn blasters. I've got on. I couldn't get it off Amazon. I had to get it on eBay. Let's see if we can get you the part number here or something. I don't know if that's a part number or what. Not really seeing a part number, but they do give you some cool little stickers that say horn blaster. All right. Let me get you the numbers off this. Now this says 450, 450H, 450C, but it said specifically that it would work on the 480C. So I'm gonna be aggravated if I tear all this apart. Okay, 480C head rebuild kit, and here's your cylinder. You got the piston and the rod and all that made together. We got the head and we got our cylinder. Here's another thing I'm really excited about is the little magnetic tool mount or tool holders, where whenever you know, that's pretty neat. Just toss whatever up there and it sticks to it. Found these on Amazon. They were, I don't remember, they weren't that bad expensive compared to some of the higher dollar ones. So far they seem to work really good. I've not used those over there yet, but I've been wearing this little one out. So the next thing I'm looking at doing is going ahead and getting this tore down and see what we're dealing with. Well, about like you guys, I went through and watched YouTube videos about this, and I was going to see if I could find, this says H5 on the side of it, and then the one that I actually have in the T-handle right now says H, looks like 4. H4 and H5 Allen bits, and the H5 fits the top, the H4 fits the side right here. So we'll go ahead and get the head off. This is my first time doing this. It is not an instructional video. It's just sharing my first time doing this with you guys. I did notice that the new stuff came with new head bolts, so that's a good deal. Anytime I'm working on anything, I like to crisscross whether I'm tightening or taking off. So I'll do this one, this one, this one, and this one. And on this right here, that is your output going to your tank. Around front, that's your intake coming in from, it breathes in under the bed cover in the truck between my fuel tank and a clean area. And here's your hot and your ground. They go to the pressure switch. That one goes to the frame. The ground goes to the frame, the hot goes to a pressure switch. To replace the compressor was outrageous. It was well over $300. This kit was under $100, so I figured it was worth a shot to just check it out and see what happened. So this quit working about 3 weeks ago, and I never knew I could miss something that bad. So that's not good. I believe we found our problem. Now let's swap bits here, and we will take the front off here. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to kick you guys. I didn't see this in there anywhere, so I'm gonna try not to damage it any worse than I have to, because I may have to reuse this. I have to clean that out with something. And motor turns freely, and yeah, she literally just broke a rod. So I may have done a big no-no, but it's all I could do. I tried every Allen head that I could find to get in here on this, and I couldn't get it. It was gonna strip or break off. So I thought I'd try something, and I grabbed me a pry bar, and I came right down in here and just kept working it in a circle. I would spin it a little bit, put a little tension, spin a little bit, put a little pressure, spin a little bit, put a little pressure, and I got noticing it was working out. You can see the line where it scraped out off the end there, and that doesn't feel, to me, it wasn't catching, thank goodness, because it did slip off the end. And once you throw it in the floor, and that looks pretty rough anyway. So you can see where the set screw is still sticking down in there. Anyway, so I want to hear this motor run. I know that it was running. I know it was doing all right, but I want to hear it again. So I've got a jump pack. We're going to put some power to it and spin it over like this, and then I'll clean it up and we'll start putting it back together. So this may be a little bit too much. This is a 4,500 amp jump start pack, but I don't have anything else I can use. So I'm gonna try to push this back a little bit if I can. I may not be able to, because I'm gonna have to have one hand to hang on to it to make sure it doesn't run me over. So I'm gonna hold it down right here and push the button. I believe that's in good shape. And it does have some torque. I'm not having to fight to hold it, but yeah. I'll try to clean it up with a rag a little bit. I'm not gonna put any sandpaper or anything like that on it, but one of these little hand wipe rags shouldn't hurt anything, I wouldn't think. So this here, I am actually thinking I may spray this out with like brake parts cleaner or something. One thing I really like about this is how well it does clean up, because it has been underneath the truck catching all the road grime, road salt, and all that stuff. It still looks this good, but and cleans up as easy as it does. Like I said, this is just a regular hand wipe. So anyhow, I'll get this cleaned up and I'll be back. Next thing I want to do is make sure this front housing is as clean as it can be. And I'm not going to use anything on this. I'm just going to wipe it down, wipe it off, because this is oilless. So I believe the main thing and part of them seals job is just to keep moisture out. It's not really to keep anything in. So I may use my little hand wipe here and clean off where you can see where the gasket was. And I believe that'll be all of it. Maybe get some of this grime right here. Alright. So here is the new piston and rod. And that's what it looks like. This is a valve. Here's your weight to keep it from vibrating around too much. So I'm just going to lay this down right here, and they say to use a little bit of oil on here when you put it in. Next thing I'm going to take out is a sleeve. And it's not a good time to do it now, but I really want to pull this sleeve out and see how it goes in. But I mean, that right there tells me about all I need to know. So now open up the head. I say the head itself does come with the head itself does come with new bolts. And I may need to go ahead and pull this out of here. I may be missing something, because why would it have a seal that goes right here? Let's go ahead and pull this piston out. Well, piston comes out easy enough. The ring on that joker's gone. God only knows how many hours of use is on this thing. Alright, made a little bit of progress there. A little bit more. A lot. So that looks rough. So now that piece came out. How does this piece come out? There's the O-ring that seals it. Now I can kind of see a little bit more about how much room I've got to work with. And that joker's on there. I keep wanting to think it's probably got screws or something in it, but I don't see anything with a head. I'm just trying to work it back and forth, hoping it'll pop out. Like that. So you see the seal right here? That's the new seal. I was wondering where it went earlier. So now that we know that, this thing right here is paperweight. So next thing will be to dig this seal out. Right like that. Now I'm going to take some WD-40 probably and clean this up. And this here is the valve. When that piston comes up, it blows this little flapper open and lets it, when it goes down, it sucks that flapper shut, not to let air in, and up and down. And then the piston also has what looks to be a valve on it as well. I'm thinking it would go something like that, but we'll look and make sure before I go to putting it back together at this point. At this point, I want to make dang sure I got it right when it goes back together. All right, the new gasket is in place right here. There's two divots right here, and there's two dowel pins right here and right here. If you guys can see that, the two little dowel pins down in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on 2 fingers, if I can. Line it up with the dowel pins. And I'm just going to push it up from the bottom, and I felt it snap onto those dowel pins. Now it's centered. Now that can't be messed up because it's on the dowel pins. So, all right, then we'll take this O-ring, set it down in here. What we're shooting for, that O-ring, when we drop this down in here, it needs to push that O-ring flat. Remember, this is the lip that I grabbed a hold of on the other one. So that should be all there is to that part. I'm gonna take my piston and find the set screw, and I'm going to slide it right up on here like this, and then tighten that set screw. That should be good. I'm not trying to break it off. I just want to keep it from slipping off the edges. There we go. So here's what you got when it's spinning. It doesn't really have a long stroke to it, that's for sure. All right. I also saw to put 3 drops of oil on here. Like I said, this is not really a how-to. This is my first time. All I have is WD-40, so I'm gonna put a few drops of WD-40 on it, because there's one place it's got to slide through that's going to be kind of tight. My WD-40 can is about out. So I think it's going to give me a drop, it gives me a gush. And so I think it's going to give me a gush, I don't get anything at all. Well, not exactly what I wanted to do, but I had to take a little silicone and put around here to hold this seal in place. It is just not wanting to lay down. I wished I would have gotten, if I'd known the kit didn't come with one and I needed one, I would have gotten that, but I didn't. So next thing is, now that that's kind of got tacky, we're going to try to put the piston through this hole right here. So come in here right like this, get it pretty well sideways, being just as careful as I can with that ring. There, and it does bend the ring up, but the ring seems to be pretty forgiving, I hope. I did oil it before I put it together, but I don't know. That was a really, really tight fit. And now they did give us new head bolts. They did not give us new bolts to go right here. So get a couple of these started to where I can let pressure off, and then we'll take a look at that ring. That should have it holding tight now. I'm just getting these up tight enough that it won't let that seal, the gasket, fall loose on the inside. So that doesn't look very good on that ring. This doesn't look as bad. That side caught the worst of it, but I didn't see a good way to get that through. All the other videos that I watched, I didn't see any good way to get it through. They did say to put a little bit of oil on it. They were using like 3-in-1 oil and stuff like that to soften it up. But anyway, maybe it'll work, and I'm getting experience. So before I go any further with the other bolts, I want to see how this is going to work, because if I screw this up, there's no sense in really going any further. So all they said was to go in at an angle. That piston seems way too big for that sleeve. So if you spin this as you push it down, it will allow that O-ring to go in a whole lot better. So next part, trying to get this set back on there. And I remember the orientation, the threads were facing that way. So I should be able to pick this up, turn it upside down. There. Guys, I hope that's right. This is my first time. I'm sure someone from Viair will get in here and tell you, oh no, you can't do it like that. But get these started. Well, there it is. The screws on the side right here, these are longer than these, and I should have known that when I put the bracket back on. This one wasn't hardly coming all the way through, and this one was sticking way out, so I had to swap those around. I didn't use torque specs. I mean, this is my first time. I'm learning. If you guys see anything that I did wrong, that's what the comment section is for. Get down there and let me know that I did that wrong, or I could have done this better. But let's put some fire to it and see if it pumps air. I did learn earlier that I need to hang on to it when you initially fire it up, because it jumped pretty good without the head on it. So put the hose back on. I did use a little bit of thread sealant right there. Check this out. This is a little bit better representation. It was super loud a minute ago, and so I just figured I'd show you guys that. Once you put the hose in there and it's not all opened up, it's ready to go. And there's a check valve on this end. Yep, so I'll go ahead and stick it back under the truck now. So here's my 2.5 gallon air tank. That's an air drain that has been on here forever, a water drain that allows it to drip water out as it needs to. And there's where the compressor lives. You can see there was the 2 band clamps right there and right there. Used to have a heat shield on it that would keep the heat off the compressor, and it had broken off. I think it's just, I put 2 on there and they break off, so I haven't replaced that. So this thing has lived here for what, it's been every bit of 2 years, and upside down, running right on the side of the frame. I've just got some square tubing. I saw this from another YouTube video. I can't remember the name. I'll try to link it in the description, where they put this same setup on a Ford pickup. And yeah, I need to put a zip tie down there to hold the air hose, the leader hose that goes to the air tank from the compressor of the tank. And I need to zip tie the wiring. And other than that, I think we're done. Let's go put the fuse in it and see if it works. So it had a 30 amp fuse is what it came with from the fact when I bought it, and that is a 20 amp breaker. It had gotten hot and blew the fuse a couple of times, and everything seemed to be fine. It just, if it ran for a long period of time, it would get hot and blow a fuse, and that was understandable to me. So I put an automatic reset breaker in it. I'll leave a link to those in the description as well. All right, so moment of truth. It came on. So I set that light where it would come on with my bed lights. I wished I would have put it where it came on with my marker lights, and that's something I plan to change one day. But it is building air. What does it say? It's at 100 pounds. And I did idle the truck up. Idling the truck up helps a lot. starting it up and idling it up. If the truck's not running, you can tell a major difference with the truck not running and with the truck running. There it is, just went off. Well guys, that was my attempt of rebuilding the 480C Viair air compressor, and it just kicked off from where the airbags. I've raised it up and let it down a couple of times just to make sure it's going to kick off and on like it's supposed to. I don't really see a difference in speed. I mean, the compressor was working fine until it broke the rod, but it's doing what I need to do again, and that's all I'm real worried about. If you want to see how long it lasts, like, share, and subscribe, and I'm sure whenever it goes down again, there'll be another video on replacing the compressor or rebuilding it again. So it wasn't that bad of a job. It was a little less than $100, I think, for the rebuild kit through Horn Blasters, and I'll leave a link. I got it on eBay. I'll leave a link to that on eBay. If an Amazon link comes available in the future, I'll leave a link to it on there as well. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. See you guys in the next video.